The right hand melody needs to ring out on the long held notes. The phrasing is very important here as the two subsequent semiquaver notes resolve the previous long held note and therefore should be played softer. Rather than sticking out the notes. This phrasing is worth concentrating on as it does repeat numerous times. Bar 14 has a challenging moment where the semiquavers become sixths. That's to say the intervals of sixths apart. You could try some optional fingering here by using the fifth and the second fingers followed by the fourth and the first fingers. Now this approach requires you to move the hand in preparation, forcing you to use the sustain pedal. Whilst perhaps not the most comfortable of approaches, it does give you heightened control over the voicing. Or you could just use the thumb for both of the lower notes. Now, if you're having difficulties making those upper notes louder, a little trick is by playing the thumb staccato to achieve the voicing. Now from bar 17, we have the new challenge of both the theme and the counter theme being played in the right hand. There's several techniques here for voicing. Now, assuming you wish the top line to stand out, try playing the lower melody as staccato and the top melody as legato. This is, of course, a similar approach to playing those sixths earlier on. There's also a physical tendency to place more weight and lean on the right side of the hand, but don't force this. You may indeed find your upper arm is moving in response. Now, you must, of course, be absolutely sure of your fingering here. In fact, there's another little trick that might help you and can be really useful to know about. At bar 17, there's a bit of a stretch from this octave D. And as for many, I'm sure, using the thumb followed by the fifth finger, the small finger, would be the obvious choice. But the only problem here is that this note is the E, or the next note is an E above. And this is tricky to play legato as it needs to be the fifth finger too. So here's the trick. It's a trick that classical organists like to use all the time, seeing as they don't have sustain pedals. Some call it finger substitution. When I play this D with my right hand little finger, I swap fingers without making a noise to the fourth finger and keep the key held down. So with the other notes, it sounds and looks like this. Now this is a trick that takes some getting used to at first. It's really important to use only the bare minimum weight required to hold down this key. Otherwise your hand may tense up. The more you learn this trick, the less dependent you'll become on using the sustain pedal for legato. Now, as far as dynamics go, feel free to be as expressive as you dare. Note the tendency to swell the volume during many of the phrases. For bar 9, and this is where the control over your pedalling is vital in order to drop that volume again. It's very hard to drop the volume if your sustain pedal is held down. Now, on that subject of pedalling, I have a general rule. Wherever the harmony changes, be sure to pedal at that moment. So the opening 4 bars would therefore indicate that we could pedal each bar only. However, the challenges in the right-hand melody that we've already discussed require us to pedal twice a bar. At bar 6, that becomes a necessity as the harmony changes half the way through. Now, from bar 9, for this section, try pedalling once per bar. The fact the melody is higher up will assist you with this clarity. From bar 17, I'd go back to the pedalling twice per bar, although bar 23, be careful of those last 3 quaver melody notes. Maybe best to lift the pedal at this moment. The very final section from bar 33 does require a little more pedalling. Perhaps pedal on the 1st, 3rd and 4th beat for this bar, and also the penultimate bar. Whilst this simple piece doesn't for one moment claim to have any of the finesse of Maestro Amadeus, I hope you'll find a few of the techniques we've covered relevant to playing Mozart and other classical composers. And spare a thought for Mozart's long-suffering wife.